Hi everyone, it's Elise, and I know my post is coming to you guys a little late, but I was really sick and I was in the hospital all week, so this was actually the earliest that I could get it done, so that's why this is coming to you guys late. But I was born in January of 1996. I was actually born on the 16th, which is cool because all the stuff that I found, nothing historical or cool really happened on my birthday in that year, so I think that's pretty unique. But anyway, on the 1st, after 27 years, Betty Ruby debuted the very first Flintstone vitamin, which I know I grew up eating them all the time because my parents wanted me to grow up and be healthy, and I think that's pretty cool because I also really liked the Flintstones when I was younger, and I know a lot of other people did too. On the 2nd of January 1996, the United States deployed troops in northern Bosnia with the intentions of maintaining peace between the Bosnian Serbs and the Muslims, which I thought was pretty historical and interesting that happened just a few days before I was born. Father opened in the Creation Theater in New York City for 52 performances on January 4th of 1996, which is pretty cool too. For the Miami Dolphin fans, back in 1996, it was pretty sad because their coach on the 5th, Don Shula, announced his retirement, so that was pretty heartbreaking, I'm sure. But he had a good run, so good for him. On the 6th, a record of $65.2 million was won in the British lottery by 3 people, so good for them. That's a lot of money to win in just one day on the 6th of January in 1996. On the 7th, Crazy After You closed its show in the Sherbert Theater, so yeah. Full Moon closed the Ambassador Theater in 1996 after many performances. It didn't exactly give me how many, but it said there was a lot of them. On the 8th, a blizzard buried the eastern United States, causing 50 deaths, which is very sad because I know living in Michigan, it's very cold here all the time. Even when it's 60 degrees out, it's still pretty cold compared to like everywhere else in the United States. So, especially our winters with all this negative 20-degree weather, I could totally imagine how this could happen to us. So, I'm really hoping it doesn't, and I feel very bad for all the lives that were lost then. On the 8th, after the first time in 25 years, no one was elected to the NBL Hall of Fame, which is super weird, but I thought that was actually pretty interesting. On the 9th, the very first episode of the third Rock from the Sun screened on NBC. On the 10th of January 1996, Israel freed hundreds of Palestinian prisoners, so that was probably really good for them. On the 10th, again, Jimmy Johnston announced he was the new coach of the Miami Dolphins, so that was good. On the 11th, the space shuttle STS-72 and Envidor-10 launched into space. So that was 5 days before I was born, so I think that's pretty sweet. Russian troops arrived in Bosnia, which was a joint operation with the United States military. That occurred on January 12th, 1996. And nothing happened on the 13th in January. But on the 14th, Holiday closed Circle in the Square Theater, New York City, after 49 performances. So clearly in the month of January, there was a lot of performances going on and stuff in New York, which is pretty cool. On the 17th, well, actually before that, on the 16th, I was born, so that's obviously pretty cool for me. On the 17th, the Czech Republic applied for membership of the European Union, which is really cool for me because I'm actually 50% Czechoslovakian, so I find that very interesting. Again, on the 17th, Iraq agreed to take a UN plan to allow for the Iraqi sale of $1 billion of oil. So, yep. And then on the 18th, baseball owners unanimously approved the intrigue play in 1997, which is pretty sweet. On the 19th, the NHL approved to move the Winnipeg Jets to Phoenix, so now they're the Phoenix Coyotes, which is actually very interesting because they are thinking about moving again this past year because down in Arizona and Phoenix, they don't really have a great fan base. But luckily here in Detroit, we have the Great Red Wings, so I'm pretty happy about that. On the 20th, the 28th NHL All-Star Game, East beat the West 5-4 in Boston. So that was pretty cool because I'm actually a really big hockey fan, so I love my hockey, and it's good to hear that the East beat the West because we obviously live on the east side of the country. And on the 20th, Australia defeated Sri Lanka 2-0 to win the World Cup. So that was pretty sweet. Also on the 20th, U.S. female figure skater champion was won by Michelle Kwan. So that was pretty cool too. On the 21st, the 53rd Golden Globes was won. John Travolta ended up winning one, so that was pretty cool for him. Love him. He's a really good actor. On the 23rd, Chris Carless scores 120, 96 balls, 10 by 4 in the test NZ versus Zim, which is pretty interesting. Also, Hello Dolly on the 28th closed in the I have no idea how to say that, theater in New York City after 118 performances. So clearly there's still a lot of performances going on in the year and month I was born, which is actually pretty sweet because I love watching plays and stuff. Also, on the 29th, the 23rd American Music Awards, Garth Brooks wins, which I'm a huge fan of Garth Brooks. He's a great country singer, and I actually find that super, super interesting. And a few more things I have for you guys. On the 29th, again, France will no longer will not use or test nuclear weapons because they just didn't want to proceed in it, and clearly I think we did, and we beat everyone to that, so that was pretty cool for us, but that was later on. On the 30th, Commander of the United States 5th Fleet, Scott Reed, states that Iran test-fired a new ship missile towards us and injured many people, and then on the 31st, the last day in January, it was very heartbreaking. 50 people died, and many more were injured in the suicide bombing in Sri Lanka, that was separated by Tamil Tigers, so that was obviously very heartbreaking, but that's pretty much what happened the month I was born. Again, I was born on January 16th, 1996, so 19 years ago, that's basically what was going down in the United States and all over the world. There's some pretty cool things that happened, and I think it's kind of interesting that there was a few things that happened in the NHL and a few things that happened in New York because that's actually where I want to move, and that's my favorite thing in the world is hockey, so I think that's pretty sweet. But there were a few deaths, and of course that's very heartbreaking. But besides that, it was a pretty cool month and year that was going on back then. So yeah, that's basically it. Thanks for watching my video, and good luck to everybody in the class this week.